For a fact, they both don't like that woman.
Yep, I told you.
I tell you that because, furthermore, if you look at the situation, their father met that woman when he was 29. Do you know how old Diana was? 16. Diana was 16.
My goodness.
My man
what would they say in 2023?
You see? The age police have not said anything. Now, when your
severe grooming.
Imagine your mother goes on TV
man.
and says your father and his descendants and his predecessors are bullying me, they're making me not eat, the woman is giving me sleepless nights, and then my mother dies, and then you go and marry that woman. Huh? You think I'm gonna like that woman?
That is a slap in the face.
A big slap in the face. But for William, as you said, he's sucking up because what? For him, he wants to be king.
He wants to
be king. So, but Harry, my guy, my brother, sticking up for his
William
brother.
Is what you call a man that does not stand for anything, can fall for anything.
He will fall. Look at him, he's just like the wind.
That's why his head is falling as well. His hair is falling out.
Allegedly, he's also like father, like son, I hear.
Yeah.
He also has a side copy, but
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Is this a news flash?
And allegedly,
are you breaking?
She was there at the coronation.
We didn't confirm it, you didn't hear it here.
Me, I'm just talking what I read in the newspapers.
What newspaper is this?
That already she was also there at the coronation. On Camilla's side. That's what I saw.
William had chest,
Allegedly. So for me, I don't think they like her, but they tolerate her.
So they have a department of side piece affair.
Did you not see that? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday podcast. And it is the last day of August. Can you believe it? We are just a few months away from 2024. I cannot believe how fast this year has gone. Maybe it's just because I've been trotting around everywhere. It just feels like it is racing past. But thank you so much for joining me today. And today, of course, is the 26th anniversary of Diana's passing. And we say a prayer and remember her today. Can't believe it also, it's been 26 years. Just wow. The way that time flies and just waits for absolutely no one. And to think what has happened in those 26 years within the royal household. I mean, for a while, it was almost as if things stood still and silent for the royals. And they were just these kind of fancy baubles in the background, not too much drama. William and Kate got married, they had the kids, and they were just there being tolerated. Obviously, with the Queen still alive, a certain level of respect and that shield that they could use. And then Meghan came along. And yeah, we know what happened next. And I feel the last chance that this institution really had to bring it into the new era that we're going into, they wasted it. But I think that's just how the cookie was always meant to crumble. And what an amazing thing for Harry to have broken that generational cycle of dysfunction. And here, living free, doing something amazing that is helping and actually creating impact in people's lives and doing it with the love of his life. So on the 26th anniversary of Diana's passing, I hope that I'm sure she's looking down at her son and incredibly proud. I think Diana would be incredibly proud of the man that Harry has become and the woman that he chose to stand by her side. Sorry, stand by his side. Right. Let's get to today's podcast, shall we? Has everybody watched Invictus now? Make sure that you go to imdb.com, Rotten Tomatoes, and the actual Netflix rating. Hit that thumbs up button on all of the sites, please, because the trolls have gone in as they usually do. This always happens with anything Harry and Meghan touch. And then maybe after a couple of weeks, it will level out, and then you'll get the actual rating once the trolls have done what they usually do, which is pretend that they don't give an F about Harry and Meghan, and then go to all the websites where Harry and Meghan's projects are, and then downrate them. Oh dear. Tamika, you said you are loving Invictus. Yeah, it is. It is quite heavy at times, but honestly, like the whole thing was just done so well, so well, so thoughtful. So let's see. I wonder what Harry, Meghan, and the kids are doing today in memory of his loving mother. Yeah, I mean, from everything we've seen from Harry, obviously days like this must be quite heavy. But he said himself, his mother. He realized that his mother just wanted him to be happy, and I would think that days like this now that he's feeling a little bit more healed will be more like celebrations of her life, more than mournings of her past. All right, let's get into the news. Okay, before we get into the royal stuff, just some completely random stuff because I just can't help myself. Guys, do you know how The Simpsons predicts absolutely everything? Everything. They've predicted yet something else. There is a situation going down in Japan where they are. Do you remember the whole incident that happened with Fukushima. There was an earthquake, and now they are looking at opening some of the dams and letting the radioactive water go everywhere. And so, in response to the criticism, the Japanese Prime Minister went and ate a fish from the radioactive water. Now, if I remember correctly in science, somebody help me out. Doesn't the potency of radiation get worse when something else eats something else? And here he is eating a whole fish, and it was predicted in The Simpsons. Do we all remember when Bart found the radioactive 3 fish and then Mr. Burns ate it? I'm sorry, I just found this hilarious. And over in Spain, the idiot that ruined the World Cup because he couldn't keep his lips to himself, the mother who was going on a hunger strike in a church decided to lock herself in a church. She ended up in hospital, and she's now been discharged from hospital because of the hunger strike. So not only did this clown ruin the Women's World Cup, hiding under his mother's skirt, his mother who should be trying to hold him accountable, out here darn near dying, allowing your mother to darn near die because you wanted to be a fool. I hope this fool gets his comeuppance. All he had to do was apologize, humble himself, talk to the lady who he violated, and this could have gone a very different way. This could have turned into a healthy conversation about consent and boundaries. Instead, he wants to be a clown, and he's going to get clowned. Right, on to royal news. Yeah, no, we'll talk about that another day. On to royal news. Some more pictures of Harry at the Invictus screening where he showed up to. Surprised some lucky people in the theatre. And overall, from people who are serious about film and documentary filmmaking and honouring veterans, for the most part, have given the Invictus documentary a 10 out of 10. And I think anyone trying to attack this, really, they're just coming at it from an angle because they don't like Harry and Meghan. I really don't see what there is in this documentary to attack. This is about helping veterans to heal in a way that isn't always offered to them when they come back from the front line. But, of course, the tabloid media had to find some way of coming for this. And instead of focusing on what this should be about, on the veterans and helping them heal and being inspirational, they are focusing on this. Here we are again with the red labels. I think that we need to go to the Institution of Psychiatrists and have them put Daily-Fell derangement syndrome in the book. Because please, somebody explain to me what this is. Oversized water bottles, house slippers. Goodness forbid you wear house slippers in their house. Family photos. Oh, can't have that. Can't have family photos there. California anthem poster. And somebody on this same article wrote a comment saying, why do they need an office? Nothing they ever do could be considered working for a living. Somebody please remind me what the royals do in general. Do they not just smile and wave? Smile and wave here and there, as William would say.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it's lots more than financial.
Well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So, you know.
I mean, if you actually watch the documentary, you see how much work is going on behind the scenes. Meetings with the Invictus board and executives. Organizing something like this is not a small thing. And you can see how hands-on Harry is with this. This is his baby. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there is a talk that Meghan did. This is pre-royal life. Actually, around the time that they started dating, it must have been around that time because she was wearing his bracelets during this panel that she did. And she said that, she likes to be hands-on. If it's going to be something that has her name on it, she wants to be there in the thick of it. And you can see that Harry very much has the same philosophy. When I look at articles like this, what I'm seeing is not just a way of belittling Harry and Meghan. What I'm seeing is a form of social programming towards the readers of the British tabloids. That it's somehow not okay, or there's something wrong with, or you shouldn't aspire to, or this is just way too much to have all of this. How dare you have a rustic table, glass cases, and a luxury dog blanket? And the mindset that creates, where people settle for mediocrity. And so when they're met with others who aspire to great things, who are doing great things, who are ambitious, that then looks down upon. And you've seen this with the way that Meghan was treated when she was a working royal and even now. It's too much. It's too Hollywood. Sending 5 a.m. emails. What for? Well, I'm sorry, but some people have ambition. Some people want more than to settle for bowls of porridge, begging, please, sir, can I have another, sir? Because we can't heat our homes and we're, having to line up at the food bank. And I do think that when you put out articles like this, it's just a way of getting people to just accept less while looking down on people that want and have more, regardless of whether or not they've actually worked for that more. Meanwhile, you have a whole royal family who's never really worked for anything and who have everything at the expense of the British taxpayer. There's a whole psychology to this. I might actually have to just do a whole podcast about it because as you can tell, it's just something that I'm very, very, very passionate about. It's one of the reasons I left the United Kingdom. But that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. Let me not digress. But it wasn't just in the online articles and in the papers. It was also on the morning talk shows. Almost all of the usual suspects, Talk TV, Piers Morgan's Uncensored, Good Morning Britain, all of them trying to find some way of undermining Invictus. Now, of course, we shouldn't be surprised. After Harry talked about his kills in Afghanistan, the tabloid media came out in complete and utter outrage on behalf of the Taliban. Absolutely crazy. So I guess it's no surprise that they would try to attack Invictus. But here, this is a very interesting clip. I thought I'd play this with it. This is actually 2 black women going at it. So let's just watch this and then we'll discuss. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. Sorry, the audio on that was a little bit quiet, but I'm going to unpack that for you. So one of the first things, the Fool, I don't know what her name is, the one with the pink lipstick. We're going to call her the Fool in pink lipstick. One of the first things she says is that Harry and Meghan were dropped from Spotify. As far as we know from official sources, there was a mutual agreement to split. And when you look at the history of big names like the Obamas, and there was also another podcast, sorry, I forget the name, but it was a podcast that was centered around the environment. So basically, people that want to do any type of material based on social issues, really helping people, there seems to be a lot of conflict between people that want to do that type of work and Spotify. Also, Archwell is its own entity, so they can, like the lady responded to her saying, they can shop around and take the Archwell audio into other places. To me, it just seems like there were issues between Harry and Meghan's camp and Spotify, and they just decided to mutually part ways. And then in the days following Harry and Meghan's announcement that they're separating from Spotify, you had the Spotify executive, one of the executives, talking smack about them. So yeah, they probably did want to leave. It's not an indication that the podcast did not do well. It upseated Joe Rogan, who has been around for almost 10 years. That is no small feat. She then, later on, belittles the lady when she brings up that just the other day, Doria was photoed with the Kardashians, and then the fool in the pink lipstick says, "Oh, but that's celebrity." So it's not okay when Doria is photoed with the Kardashians. That's not okay. But when Tom Cruise has to help Kate up the stairs because her husband won't help her at a movie premiere, that's okay. When we have Katy Perry at the coronation concerts for the British King singing Own the Night like the 4th of July, that's okay. When we have Lionel Richie singing at the coronation concert, that's okay. And they had a whole host of American stars, not just at the coronation concert, but also at the Queen's Jubilee. So when it's convenient for the royals, it's perfectly okay for us to be associated with celebrity. When William wants to fly out, Chloe and Halle Bailey and other movie stars and other music stars for Earthworm all the way to Boston, but not even fly over the Earthworm winners, it's perfectly fine. We're okay with the royals associating with celebrity then. But when it's Harry and Meghan, there is a problem associating with celebrity. Mind you, celebrity has a lot higher currency than royalty. Let's just keep it real. Kim Kardashian's behind is more relevant than the royals on any given day. So to belittle celebrity and in a way to insult Harry and Meghan, it just doesn't make any sense. But they have to find some way, right? They have to find some way of coming in there. And then at one point, Richard says to the fool in pink lipstick, "Oh, well, it seems like, you've been turned and, the documentary was nice." And then she comes in with like, "No, no, no, I didn't like it. I didn't like it." And she can't actually give any real reason that she didn't like it that isn't connected to her dislike of Harry and Meghan. I mean, what more can I say? Foolery. Right, let's get your comments before I continue. Yes, Pelena, is jealousy at its highest. Yeah, Novidi, are they going to criticize everyone who has a home office? Like, wild. And they have to attack Harry and Meghan's work because Harry and Meghan's work is held up against the lack of work that the other royals do and the lack of impact and the way in which they are not able to move people to create impact in the way that Harry and Meghan do with their fans. You only have to have one Sussex Squad account with a couple thousand followers to post a fundraiser, and within hours, you will get money going to that fundraiser. No other royals have ever, except for Diana. And can you imagine Diana in a social media age? Oh my goodness. I can imagine Diana doing TikTok. I can see that. And I think she'd be very good at it. Yeah, Gail Lewis is giving George Orwell's 1984 vibes. Dumbing down to control the masses. It has no news value whatsoever. Exactly. Telling us that Harry has a water bottle on his office desk has no news value. Lorna, you said this is why most US people look at this and think, what is wrong with the UK? Is the US, sorry, in the US, ambition is praised, while in the UK, you are seen as above your class. Yes. And you are criticized for what is seen as not staying in your lane. And it's a shame. It really is a shame because I feel that my country has so much more potential, and yet we have the problem is the ruling class that want to keep people in their place, and then instead of pushing back against that, people fall in line, and I don't understand it. There is more than enough potential in the United Kingdom for us to be so much more than what we are, but people refuse to stand up. And these idiots think people don't drink water. Not from large bottles. Okay. Cindy, this is why celebrities want nothing to do with the royals. The smart ones don't. And all of the ones who associate with the royals, something funky always seems to happen to them. They are not. In Australia and New Zealand, we have a thing called tall poppy syndrome. It's the same in the UK. I know what you're talking about, where successful people are attacked just because others are jealous and resentful that they are so successful. Yes. And when you do become successful, you're expected to bow down still. So they have this honor system where you go and get your medals or your OBE or CBE or whatever it is, which I find it strange. I'm sorry. Why should somebody like Lewis Hamilton have to bow to Charles just to get a medal? Somebody who's worked their whole life, who's incredibly talented, who's the top of their game, why does he have to bow to Charles? I don't know. I don't understand it. Yeah, Kim Kardashian's behind is more relevant than the royal family. Kim Kardashian's behind it's pretty much been ruling for the last decade. It broke the internet. So yes, Kim Kardashian's behind is more relevant than the royal family. Those butt cheeks have broke the internet multiple times. When is the last time Kate or William broke the internet? Other than their wedding. That might be the only time. So yes, one more time for the people in the back. Kim Kardashian's butt cheeks are more relevant than the royal family. Right. Next thing. Ah, yes, Meghan and Suits. So, Suits boss on the series Origins and the Meghan Markle line of the palace had removed. So, this was when Harry and Meghan were still dating, not engaged, and definitely not married. And to me, this just shows that from the very, very beginning, they were trying to impose themselves on Meghan. And I think this may have been the beginnings of them trying to flex their powers, maybe even scare her off, maybe thinking, well, if we show her that we can control what she does and doesn't do, maybe that will scare her off from being in the royal fold. Right, now just give me a sec while I open up this article and then we're going to give it a read. So, Aaron Korsh opens up about the resurgence of a show that he initially envisioned as Entourage for Wall Street. And it is quite incredible how Suits has had this burst of popularity. Now, mind you, Meghan has been in the royal fold now for perhaps 6 years, but it's like this past year or so, it's really amped up, and that's likely because of the Netflix documentary and Harry's book Spare. and the decision for Suits to be available in more areas on Netflix. So it goes on to say, Aaron has his theories about why his legal drama Suits, which originally aired for 9 seasons on USA Network before wrapping up in 2019, is suddenly smashing viewership records on Netflix. For one, the series, which stars Patrick Adams as Mike Ross, a genius slacker who lands a legal gig working for a high-powered attorney, despite not having a law degree, has inherent optimism in it, says the creator. He believes people either see themselves in his character or who they wish they were. Korsh also cites the show's tone, which was never darkly dramatic, as so much else on television and continues to be, but rather drama with comedy mixed in. Though he doesn't use the blue skies as a descriptor, that's very much the brand filter that USA shows like Suits, White Collar, and Royal Pains ran through at the time. Suits credits Netflix reach too, along with that of TikTok, where a clip from Suits pilot became hugely popular early this spring. Then there's the Meghan Markle effect, which, as far as Korsh is concerned, is hard to deny. When he cast Markle in his show, where she plays a paralegal and later a lawyer, and the love interest of Mike Ross, she was a relatively unknown actress and certainly not yet attached to Prince Harry and thus a figure of global interest. The latter occurred over the course of the series' run, with Markle ultimately marrying Harry in 2018. Korsh and many of Markle's Suits castmates attended the royal wedding and leaving the show along with Adams after season 7. Okay, let me just scroll down a little bit so we can get to the good parts. Sure. Okay, I actually think I have the direct quote on the screen because it's quite a long article. Let me have a look. Where did I put it now? Oh, yes. So he says in the interview, he was advised against incorporating the word poppycock into Meghan's lines. I mean, something so petty. So petty as that. And Harry actually mentions this in Spare, that the palace did try to interfere. So we're perfectly okay with with Andrew bringing the front seat of the car, but we're not okay with Meghan saying poppycock. Insanity. I think they were being petty. I think they were trying to show their power flex and possibly try to scare her away before things ever got too serious between her and Harry. Because how are you going to be so petty as to try and remove such a word? And then he also says, he was asked, and that was before you knew that you'd be going to a royal wedding. And he says, yeah, I mean, your initial reaction is like, we're dating a prince. But the security and all that stuff, we shot in Toronto and the writer's room was in LA. So other people were dealing with that. I will say, and I think Harry put this in his book because I heard people talking about it, the royal family weighed in on some stuff. Not many things, by the way, but a few things that we wanted to do and we couldn't do. And it was a little irritating. I remember one was the particular line of dialogue, and look, I'll just say what the line was. My wife's family, when they have a topic to discuss that might be sensitive, they use the word poppycock. Let's say you wanted to do something that you knew your husband didn't want to do, but you wanted to at least discuss it, and in just discussing it, you wouldn't hold him to anything he said, and you'd be like, it's poppycock. Yeah, it's like a British word for nonsense. So in the episode, Mike and Rachel were going to have a thing, and as a nod to my in-laws, we were going to have her say, my family would say poppycock, and the royal family did not want her saying the word. They didn't want her using the word in her mouth. I presume because they didn't want people cutting things together of her saying S-O-C-K. So that's why they weren't. So they thought that people would edit the word and edit the poppy out and just have her saying the C word. But we're perfectly okay with having Andrew being friends with Epstein, and Epstein even, being over at the Queen's cabin. And I mean, how ridiculous is this? Wow. I mean, the standard that they want to hold Meghan at, that none of them themselves can hold themselves to. How ridiculous. Oy. Anyway, in all of this nonsense and foolery, the Invictus documentary has been victorious, and the derangers are going to stay deranged because they're being fed a narrative by the media. Here's a clip from James O'Brien that was today. Have a listen to this.
Harry chose to leave, take his wife and family to California, like you said earlier, to protect her and to protect them and take them away. So I don't think that he's not being invited or not being included. I think he's chosen to take himself away. And then on the Prince Andrew side, I think he, and I personally don't think he's done anything wrong. You don't know what conversations are being had or have been had behind closed doors. You don't know what Prince Andrew said to Jeffrey Epstein behind closed doors. You don't know if they were being best friends or whether they actually went there and said, you know what, this is awful, I can't believe you've done this, and all the rest of it.
No, you're right.
You don't know
you're
that.
right. No, you got me back to rights, Jack. It's perfectly possible he flew all the way to New York after his mate had got out of jail to say, gosh, I can't believe what a wrong 'un you are.
No, but
you mean all those teenage girls that were hanging around at your private island? You mean that some of them were there and they didn't want to? I had absolutely no idea, Jeffrey. Look at the embarrassment you've caused me. Shame on you and your international sex trafficking paedophile ways. You're right, Jack. It could easily have been that conversation he flew out to have.
What we understand about Jeffrey Epstein is he was a master groomer, manipulator, and horrible person.
You don't know that. You don't know what conversations he had in private. He might have been a lovely guy.
No,
sorry, I'm just deploying your own logic. I'm just deploying your own logic here, Jack.
But just to go back on what you just said then, we know that's not true because we know the crimes he was convicted of and the things that we know he did.
How do we know that? How do we know that?
Because we know.
How?
We know that is fact.
Yeah, because he went to court and faced the accusations. But so now, off the top of your head, who didn't?
Andrew never did.
Exactly. How did he avoid it?
Well, by doing what everyone else would have done in that situation.
So you, innocent of sexual assault allegations, would pay off the accuser rather than have your day in court and prove your innocence. You realise that you are essentially acting here as an apologist for someone accused of sexual assault.
No.
No, you are. That's not an opinion. That's just counting. Here's the man accused of sexual assault, and here's Jack in Bedford defending him.
I'm not defending him
totally
per se, because
you totally are.
I just think that you can't. I think you have to.
Go on.
The court public opinion can be. I don't know what the right word to use is, but
you're telling me.
I don't know how to word it in a way. Judging someone.
Do you know why you can't word it?
Why is that?
Because your thoughts don't make sense.
Okay.
And your thought is, Prince Harry brought this on himself by sticking up for himself and his wife, whereas Prince Andrew is an innocent victim of circumstances conspiring against him, and that's why you can't say it in words, because if you did, you'd realise how ridiculous you are.
No, but I don't think what is being done to Harry is fair to him.
No, but he brought it on himself.
No, I don't think he brought it on. I don't.
But that's literally what you said when you rang in. That was your first point.
No. Yeah, he did.
Chose to leave the royal family.
Yeah, he did choose to do that.
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10, how do you think this call's gone for you?
Probably not very well.
Well, what?
Quite high up on, well, probably 10 if 10's bad.
Pretty close to 10. I'll give you 9.5, Jack.
And there you have it. He can't think of a defense because all he's doing is regurgitating what he's heard in the tabloids. And what you hear in the tabloids, what these fools on the screen put out, does not make any sense. It is all lies. And so if all you're doing is regurgitating what you've heard, you cannot string together any type of coherent argument. Because you don't have a single original thought. Most tabloid readers do not have a single original thought about the royals and the last 6 years and what's happened between the royals and the Sussexes. And there you have it. He did not know what to say or how to come back at James. And James, at this point, because he's had a couple of royalists on his show, a couple of derangers talking about Harry and Meghan, he's just so ready. He's a low-key squaddy at this point. He knows all the talking points, what they're going to come with, and just how easy it is to derail them. Because all they're doing is regurgitating word vomit that they've heard from these fools on the screen. Marvin, Meghan went into that family with her money, and they know that they had to control her by all means necessary. You know, there was an article that came out a couple of days ago about Meghan's dress. Now, Meghan paid for her dress, and it cost close to almost $200,000. From the estimates that I've seen about Meghan's fortune, that she had somewhere within the region of $5 to $6 million upon meeting Harry. That was her net worth. I wouldn't be surprised actually if it was a lot more, because there is no way that you are spending $200,000 on your own wedding dress if you don't got a hell of a lot more. There's just no way. And she could have very much spent less, or even requested a designer to just give her one for free. She didn't have to spend all that money. I think because Meghan would have had to go through a lot of security clearance, so there's probably a good chance that they knew exactly how much money that she did have. And if you've got a lot of money, you've got a lot of freedom and autonomy. And it might also be the reason why, other than just spitefulness, that they refused to give Harry and Meghan a full allowance. I think that they just wanted to drain Meghan's pockets. And this is what any cult does. This is cult behavior. They have to drain you of all resources that make you independent. That includes your money, your friends. She couldn't see her friends. And when she did try to see her friends, she was criticized for it, like at the baby shower. It made it very uncomfortable for her to have friends. You have to cut off any kind of outside voices that make you see sense. They have to isolate you. She was in the house for months at one point, despite the fact that the tabloids were still talking about her. Truly cult behavior. April May, you said, but it's okay for Charles to say he wanted to be a mistress's tampon. Yes, it's perfectly okay for him to say that. It's not okay for Meghan to say poppycock. Monte Cristo, you said, spot on. Trying to destroy her from day one with Harry's popularity and now his girlfriend is a bombshell. Smart, articulate actress. The royal family knew this couple would be a megastar. And they are indeed. They are indeed. I mean, one of the most incredible things about Invictus is that it is global now. So you've got ministries of defense in multiple countries now involved with Invictus. That is really phenomenal, to be honest. I don't think we've really had a sit down and deconstructed the impact and the reach of this. Government bodies involved in this. Multinational companies like Boeing and Land Rover and Amazon sponsoring. This is everything that they did not want to happen. And it has. Yes, vividly, they support Andrew because they are the same as him. And the fact of the matter is, if they had just supported the Sussexes they could be sharing in the spotlight, but they don't want to share the spotlight. They want the spotlight all for themselves. Or the spotlight is all on you, and now we're looking at you. We are looking at you, and this is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing when we're looking at the other royals now. Sour faces, bored faces. This is like the Scottish coronation. We're seeing people that clearly cannot stand each other, that are dysfunctional, all at the expense of the British taxpayer. You know, when Harry says they're trapped, he must really mean it, because this is a group of people who are very much trapped. Trapped not just in this institution, but I think trapped in a battle with themselves, because they don't know who they would be without staying in this institution. But the institution itself is destroying them. So what is it worth? Well, Harry said, my happiness is worth more, and he left. Here's William, probably watching the documentary. Do you think William's watched it? Getting tips for Earthshot, sure. Okay, that is all I have to say today. Let me stop being petty. Thank you, as always, everyone, for coming. I was actually meant to do this podcast at 9:30 Malaysian time today, but I just could not get myself together to do it. And actually, I'm seeing that there's almost 800 of you in the chat right now. So clearly there's enough of you free at this time that I can probably continue to do the podcast at this time. But we'll see. I might do a test where I do it in the morning instead of the evening and see how many people come. Yes, Anna, that dude is stupid. He is stupid indeed. Actually, do you know what? I'm not even tired right now. I know we've gone on for like 49 minutes, and I usually do call in on a Friday, but does anybody want to call in? Like, I'm still feeling preppy. I haven't got anything to say personally, but if you all have anything to say, I don't mind you coming up and talking. If anybody does want to come up, do let me know, and we might do just 2 or 3 phone calls. Would love to hear your voices. It's been a while. But let's get through some of your comments also. Look here. Yeah, more kudos to James. He's always there supporting the Sussexes, and just, I wouldn't even say supporting the Sussexes, just trying to add some common sense into the conversation. Trying to add some common sense. Okay, if you want to come up and say anything, there's the link. If nobody comes up by the time I've finished reading comments, then we'll just call it a day. Kim, you said, love James. He always says it with his full chest. Meghan and Harry's honour are royalty on royals, and in contrast, they can't measure up. Indeed. Lady T, you said, if I was not living in this era, I would not believe half of the things going on in this world. Oh, you can say that again. I feel like that comment goes beyond the royals, but yeah. Yeah, James always deals with these fools very, very well. Yeah, I think he's a low-key squaddy. You know, if he's not a low-key squaddy, I just think he's someone who can see beyond the foolery, and he's fed up. He is just fed up. Oh. Yeah, Meghan paid for her own wedding. Look, you can look this up. Look it up. Jessica, you said yes. I wanted to drain her of her resources and freedom. Oh. Okay, some of you are coming into the chat. That is fantastic. Thank you for that. I will put you live in a sec. Yes, really, forcing someone to be financially dependent is classic abuse tactic. By the way, if you are listening to this and you're going to Dusseldorf and you do not have a ticket for the opening ceremony, please keep in mind that I'm still giving away my ticket because I will not be there anymore. Definitely not going to fly all the way to Dusseldorf from Malaysia. I will still be giving that ticket to someone. And I would love to actually give it to a squaddy who just happens to be on the ground who didn't get a ticket for the opening. Seven Lily, you said, I'm still salty about them using Meghan's money for Frogmore. Give her the money back. They're too used to building wealth off of black people's backs. Yeah. Well, Harry and Meghan decided to pay that money back. It's very annoying, but that was their choice. And they are now free of that burden. So I think sometimes you do just have to count your losses. And if it helps you, Seven Lily, they have gotten that loss back in blessings 10 times over. So we can let it go with Frogmore Cottage. Gail, you said they are now realizing their worst fears. All their carefully planned ideas have failed. They certainly didn't reckon on the Sussex squad supporting worldwide. No, they didn't reckon the Sussex squad would support. And I think they genuinely believed that Harry and Meghan just would not get the wide reach that they've gotten. Because it's not just people within the squad. I actually think that the squad only represents a small part of Harry and Meghan's wider fan base. There are people that are just passive fans who probably don't even know that there is a Sussex squad. I've heard this many, many times when new people come into our space. Oh, I didn't know there was a Sussex squad. I was just a Harry and Meghan fan. So I think they didn't expect the reach. All right, Karen, I will let you go first. Come right up, my dear. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. How was
Yeah.
your layover in Istanbul?
Yeah, I booked a flight. We're returning. I got a 12-hour layover.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm gonna use that. I get in there like 5 something in the morning, and I'm gonna use that, and I leave there for London at 6:30. So I'm gonna use that time to do some sightseeing while I'm there.
Nice. Do
Yeah.
enjoy.
So yeah, so I appreciate the help, and the tips that you gave me. So I'm gonna use those.
As always.
Yeah. Yeah, and my neighbor sent me some other information as well too, because he was there. He says you have to go to Istanbul. You have to see it. So, yeah.
Nice.
Oh boy, yeah,
So,
I'm sorry that you had to leave. If not, we could have connected. But yeah, but
fine.
we will. Yes.
You will.
And
So,
I'm glad that
what
you're
is-
safe. I'm glad that you're safe where you are as well too. That's good. Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Something. This thing with Harry and Meghan, and the negativeness, the bad talking, from where I'm standing and how I'm looking at it, this is going to continue as long as they have breath, as long as they're breathing, as long as they're striving. It's going to continue because first of all, the royal family know and see every day the mistake that they have made. Okay.
Yes.
And they're still, the thing is they don't want to take accountability for what they've done. They don't want to accept, the mistakes that they've made, because they still want to be wrong and strong at the same time. Right. So they're going to keep pushing forward because, to them, they're the royal family. They have a lot of apologizing. I think they should be apologizing for this, for the citizens of the UK, for the behaviors and everything that they've, and the things that they've done to them. And they should be, because the way how they carry themselves, that's not the way they work for the people, and the people are paying them. And there's no way that they should behave, with the people the way they are, as if, and treat the people as they're nothing. So and for them to be modern, these are the things that they have to let go of in order to be modern. And I don't see that happening. And and the people of the UK, as much as they're bad talking, Harry and Meghan and stuff, and with all the stuff that they're going on with, it's I just feel that they're filled with guilt and and regret, because they themselves are behaving like the royal family. They can't even come to terms of of what they've lost, and be honest about it. So instead of facing it, they're just showing all these negative and hatred and everything at the Sussexes. And no matter what they do and how high they climb, and all the good that they're doing, they're gonna keep lashing out to them, because until they come to terms and accept what has happened, okay, and what has happened to the Sussexes, it's just going to keep going on. And I just think that's their own they just can't face and can't admit to themselves, okay, what they've lost and the wrong that they have done. And it's just going to continue going. And the Sussexes, I am just glad that they're pushing on, and and striving and doing what it is that they set out to do as individuals before they met, and as a married couple, that they continue doing what they're doing. So it's we just have to brace it and to keep praying for them, and know that this is a long haul, because it's going to move from them and it's going to move to their kids as the kids grow up and the kids start achieving stuff. It's a long road. It's the same cycle that Princess Diana was in. It's the same cycle. If she was still alive, this is what would have been happening to her. Okay, they would have been showing this comparison as she keeps striving and keep doing big things, because when she was alive they were doing the same thing. Okay, and she's passed, and they're still doing the same thing. Even now they're still trying to take away what she has done out there, and who she is. So they're it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And we just have to brace it, and we have to be strong, and and protect them, and be strong for ourselves as well too, and keep striving within ourselves as well too. So
Thank you, Karen. So well
You're
said.
welcome.
And thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. You take care. Bye,
You
guys.
get ready for the big
Oh
weekend.
yes. Oh yes, I am. Thank you.
All right, MC, hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much for
Have you watched Heart of
everything.
Invictus yet?
Sorry?
You watched Heart of Invictus yet?
No, I've not watched it yet because I've been so busy with work, and because we just bought a house, we just moved in, so I've been so busy. Most times like this, I don't even have the time to watch Success Squad. Most times, sometimes in the late time, but today I'm not working because I have to work in the weekend. So I just see the notification on my phone. So I just, okay, let me join. Mean that I'm not working today, because most times it's always late in the night, and I have to go to bed already because I have to work the next day. So that's why. But I've been watching the short clip in Dusseldorf and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I will see, because from next week I'm on holiday already. I will see, because I'm living in Belgium, so I will see if I can be able to go. So I will make sure, because I really love to see Meghan and Harry so much. Seriously, I love to see them. So, and I'm so Queen Diana will be so proud of Prince Harry for what he's doing and everything. And we as a Success Squad, family, we have to keep on going. Don't give up and everything, because the royal family and the UK media are trying to make sure that, okay, this is what they are trying to do. But the more they do, the more higher Meghan and Harry are going in life and everything, because you cannot destroy what God has already made. That's one thing they don't know. Like there's somebody that posted post that the royal family, they are so close to church that they are not close to God and everything. When I listened to James O'Brien yesterday, I say, wow, this man, whenever you speak about Prince Harry, say he's a fan of Prince Harry. And there's this interview Prince Harry was doing when the alarm goes off and Harry ran to go and check what is going on. He said he's so proud of what Prince Harry did in that place. And
Oh yeah,
everybody
that
can
was when he
see
was
it.
in Afghanistan. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
that
in
clip.
Afghanistan and everything. So
Yeah.
when he was saying it yesterday, I was this so I play it again and again and again because I was this so emotional. I've watched that clip already, but for him saying it and everything, acknowledging it is so great and everything. Like what this Clouda also Bola also she always go talk about success Meghan and Harry also. She's from the UK. She's half Indian, half Britain also.
Oh, Claudia Boleyn. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
her.
She said the UK media really hope that Prince William children to look like Princess Diana, but they are shocked that it was Lilibet that looks so much with that blue eyes and this blonde hair, this that looks like Princess Diana and everything. They were shocked, so they can't wrap their head. So that's the way they are trying to make sure that everything about if they see the success children like this, they want to go crazy and everything because they didn't expect it that it's Maggie, a black and a white woman that gave birth to a blonde child with a blue eye. Like
Yeah.
one
Well, I
thing
think they
in my
need. I think they need like some basic biology lessons because I mean, mixed
yeah,
race children can come out in a number of ways. But thank you so
yeah.
much, MC, for calling in. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye. Rahini, hey, are you at work? Are you at work, Rahini?
No, I'm not. This is too early for a podcast.
What time is
I'm
it
now
where you are?
getting up. It is 10:34 in the morning. I just got up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, the other work me out is too early in the morning. Oh my gosh. Well, I have watched 2 episodes so far of Invictus. Hello?
Oh yeah, no, go on. I'm listening. You've
Yeah,
watched
I've
2 hours.
watched two
What do you
episodes
think?
so far, and I didn't get to catch you when you did with when you reviewed it, but it was so what was kind of weird to me to see the way Ukraine was just days before the invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just you see this idyllic park, and it gave me chills, gave me chills to think about that. But the thing is with the press, right? They believe that they should have control, and I've always wondered when exactly in the royal family's history that they relinquished their power to the help, because that's what the press is, That's what the press is to them. That's what the courtiers are. That's what the advisors are. They're the help. You are, by definition, the most powerful family might be on earth, and you are directed and controlled by the help.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good point. Not even directed and controlled, not even by the government, by the press.
Exactly. By the press, the help. It's weird now. It's for a lot of, I guess I suspect for a lot of the British people and the press, kinda, it seems like it is for them, but they don't realize it. The press is what do you call it? A wolf in sheep's clothing. That the press masquerades as being for the people, but really and truly the press is of the aristocracy as well and the 1%. So they have their agenda. The press doesn't actually care about the people, because if they did, they'd print the truth. They'd print the truth.
First and foremost, they care about themselves and their pockets.
Exactly. And they benefit from the classist system. They benefit from that. And in order to sell that to the public, they have the royal family, and the royal family must be there in order to keep that classist system going. And because if it's not there, it doesn't. Everything else falls apart. The whole aristocracy falls apart, right?
Yeah.
And they can't control it anymore. And it's really interesting to me to see the royal family so controlled by these people and don't recognize it, and is terrified of them. And here you have Harry, who they considered a throwaway. They never thought he was worth anything, right? They never thought he was worth anything talking about. And here he is with the courage to not only defy them, but to stand 10 toes down with them. And one of the most powerful things that the oppressed could say to the oppressor is no.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful thing. It's in the minute you say no, the dynamic change. You start to regain your power back. You gain your power back. And I remember a few days ago, one of the royal rodents were talking about Meghan wants control over stuff. And I'm like, who else is she supposed to control other than herself and her narrative?
Yeah.
It's herself she's supposed to control. Like, who? If I don't have control over me, what am I supposed to have control of? And you are looking at a woman of color and telling her that you don't deserve to have control over your life, then you're telling me that I should be enslaved. That's what you're trying to say. How dare you think for yourself? How dare you decide for yourself? How dare you look to tell me decide what of you wish to put out there? I should have full reign. I should have full access, and I will tell you what about you is good and what about you is bad. That's what they want. That is what it means to be enslaved, and that's what they want.
I think
she says
Kim
no.
made a very, I think Kim might have made a very good point here. She said, and the moment Prince Philip made the media involved in viewing the personal lives of the royal family on film that opened up the control have to be seen to be believed. That's actually a very good point, Kim Peaches. I think that could have been part of it. I also think that maybe at a certain point, especially as we moved into the era of tabloid news, that the tabloid media probably saw how profitable it was to report on the royals. And then there was probably a time when they realized, well, the more salacious we are, the more money we make. And that's also maybe where the relationship got a bit messy. Just to go back to your original point, Rahini, about when did this start?
Well, yeah, because when you think about it, I always thought that Britain didn't have celebrities, Because do they not have actors and singers? But the reason that I thought that, because I'm a royalist, I can tell you that, right? So I grew up, I have had copies of the Daily Mail and stuff, of all of these things, because I grew up and these were the celebrity papers. Like if I got the Star in America, I would see, Angelina Jolie and all these people. But in England, it was the royals we were talking about. So I was like, they are the only celebrities. And then to realize it's because the celebrities don't want to deal with them. The celebrities are terrified of them because of what they do and the type of power that they have. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. And again, it's baffling to me to see the most powerful man still have to bow down to these people when he can be in charge of them, when he can control them, but he doesn't wish to. It's either he doesn't know how, or he thinks he's winning. And if they think they are winning by having them just dictate their life for them, that having them tell you how to live, right? Then you've lost. You've lost. Because unless you have control of you, you are a slave. I'm sorry. If you don't control you, you're in trouble. And they
I
are
think
not
with
in
that one
control of
though,
themselves.
yeah, I think with that one though, it's just more because they have so many skeletons in their closet at this point that they have to toe the line. But thank you so much, Rahini, as always, and thank you for being up.
Y'all have a
Was I
good
your morning
day.
alarm?
You woke
You have a
me
good.
up, but it is too early for podcast. I worked last night, so I'm now getting up and then the phone is buzzing to wake me up. It's so awful. Right. And I put you know what? I have to put on my little conspiracy theory hat a little bit, my tinfoil hat. I have a feeling that they feel by bringing Andrew back into the fold that he might replace Harry to cover for them. What do you think?
Oh, as the spare, so that
As
they can put
scapegoat,
all of
yeah.
the
That
drama
they're
on
like, oh yeah, we'll
him.
let you come back, but you have to fulfill Harry's role a bit
That is a
into
good
the
point.
crazy because because I mean there's nobody else for them to go after.
Yeah,
Because
there's no one else that comes
to be honest, in my mind, from a PR standpoint, there is one person that might seem like good fodder, and that is Prince Edward's daughter, who's now in university, because you know college kids always doing stuff, right? But she don't seem to be doing anything. She don't have a TikTok or anything to like or his son James as a teenager, you know, they tend to get into trouble. He ain't doing nothing for nobody to talk about. So they need that fodder and they don't have any access. It's not only that they don't have access to Meghan and Harry anymore, but they really do not Harry is not falling off drunk in the road anymore. He's really not doing he's not the clown. He's a responsible, effective man. He's a move on shaker. He's getting the job done. So they can't class him as the sicko anymore. The most they can do now is call him overly emotional. But still, you know, they don't have that. They don't have that narrative anymore. So they need that buffoon. They need the clown. And Andrew could be the perfect one. I think if he gets him to stay in his house with his teddy bears and and free luncheon, he might be okay with it. What we gonna do? Squad, have a good day.
Thank you, Rahini. Yeah, I think that's a very good point that Rahini has made because they've got nobody to throw under the bus anymore, and they need someone. I mean, I know that they're clearly and very unfortunately, because I think it's very cruel, setting up Louis to be the next spare. You even had Lorraine calling him the family clown. I mean, talking about a child like that, absolutely unacceptable. But he's not going to be a grown up for a while, so they need somebody to fill that space. And there's no one else. Edward and Sophie, not particularly glamorous. Okay, Valerie, let's bring you in. Hey.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Great, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I was listening to what Rahini said, and I was listening to what everybody said, and everybody has made some good points. I think what is happening to England is that, and I've come to the conclusion, I was reading something, and England is living in a world of brainwashing. There's serious brainwashing. And it's not just about the royals, it's about everything. And what they've done, what the millionaires have done, the media millionaires have done, they stripped British of the EU. That's what they stripped them. You can see they're stripping them now, stripping them. And the only people who they can rely on is the royal family and them, because they tell the truth. And what they have done is that they've actually caused them, because when you're learning something, you have to develop new neurons. What they've done, they keep on telling the lies over and over, and they believe it. That is true.
Yeah,
it's true.
If you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth.
And then what they've done, when they finish believing their lies, they can't see that they're being slowly poisoned. They can't see the water is rotten, all these different things that they can't see. They can't see that they're being starved to death. They can't see it. And when they finally see it, it's going to be too late for them. That's what is happening. And what the issue is, when people like Meghan and they see something different, people get very upset because they haven't fallen down that what you call it, they haven't fallen down the Alison's Alice in Wonderland hole. They haven't fallen down that hole, but they have. And that is what has happened. So everybody can see, but they can't.
I'm actually glad that you've brought that up, because I did have this article from our friend over at the Daily Fail, Sarah Miss Niggling Feeling Vine. She wrote, "Basket case Britain is starting to feel like a third world country. All around us, the social and physical infrastructure that once held this country together is crumbling. You name it, our roads are rubbish, our rivers are polluted, our streets are overrun by lunatics holding machetes. It's impossible to get anywhere or do anything without it turning into 3-act drama." Well, whose fault might that be? Could it possibly be the fault of people like your ex-husband who divorced you, Miss Sarah Vine, Michael Gove, who was once a close confidant and in the Houses of Westminster alongside Boris Johnson? So it is actually them who is causing the issue, but they're deflecting and trying to blame something else and everybody else, when it is the class of people like Sarah Vine who are responsible for a lot of these issues.
Yes, and if you blame, if you, like, for instance, if you see a person who's brown or a person of color and they have a different mindset and they started seeing things and they know what they want and they go after it, all you can do is you can get angry with them and say they've taken it. No, they haven't, because your success is not dependent on them. Your success and what, or lack of it, is dependent on you. And rather than blame, and that's what they've done. And that's what the billionaires have done. Get them to blame, and they're all fighting like rats, and they're all digging up in mud and fighting at each other. And while they're all fighting each other, they've look at the National Health Service. They've look at the Thames Water. Thames Water had 14 million. It's now 14 billion in debt. They've literally taken taxpayers' money and siphoned it off. And the reason why they wanted to leave the EU, because the EU wanted them, that when they were going to siphon off this money, where this money come from? And that's what they've done. They siphoned off everything. And now we're seeing. And one thing, and I have to say, horrible as it is, in one way, us leaving the EU is we can see exactly what is going on, because it was always covered up.
Well, thank you so much, because I think that very much ties into just the way in which the press behaves. And I always say that, the smear campaign that has been levied against Harry and Meghan, that's actually a symptom of a much bigger problem. Problem that you've just stated, Valerie. So thank you so much for that. But
thank you very much, and bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Oh, but before you go, before you do go, have you watched the
I saw bits and pieces of it, and it's really good. I saw snippets of it. I haven't fully sat down and watched it, but I saw snippets of it, and it's really good. And he's a very intelligent young man, and I wish him and all we can do is pray for him, and God with him, because as the saying is, as one young lady said, you can't curse what God has blessed.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you.
Ciao. All right. YM Droid, try not to kill us too much. Please consider that there are some people listening that may have stitches. So I ask you to please keep your petty to like a 7.25.
You know what? It is morning for me, and I just woke up with like a cup full of it. I have been up, trying to get in my side hustle work before I move on to my actual work. And yeah, it's been building up. It's been building up, especially on this. So I would say, don't blame me. Blame these ridiculous clowns who are going around putting out ridiculous statements and ridiculous articles and just making a whole entire fool of themselves when they should just sit in the corner and eat their rice. But instead, they come out with these totally nonsense things that you would only believe if you are blind, deaf, and dumb. And I say that with no ill will towards people who are blind or deaf. Just the last part. Because if you are not, yeah, it's tough. But oh man, I have not had a chance to catch Heart of Invictus yet, but I have it slated for this weekend. Like, so I have that already scheduled in. So as of this weekend, I will definitely be caught up on it. While we're on the subject of Invictus, can we talk about how salty they look with their Commonwealth games where everybody's like, nope, we're not common.
You're not gonna host it.
You can
Yeah.
you better come up with the wealth on your side. Harry is gonna have filled stadiums, you know, like this massive platform where people are tuning in to support. It's obvious that, you know, like a lot of people who are directly in the veteran community are incredibly, incredibly excited about it. People who truly do support veterans are incredibly excited about it. And meanwhile, they're like, but we've got the Commonwealth Games. And everyone is like, okay, you can keep them. I'm telling you, by the time they're done with Invictus and they're trying to overshadow it with whatever garbage they come up with, they're going to be hosting the Commonwealth Games at that park, that playground that Will and Kate were trying to charge people for. Because I swear that's as many people as actually going to be interested. What's the capacity on that playground?
They still haven't found a host. I mean, the last I heard, you had Australia said no. Who else said no?
Canada, I believe.
Or someone else. Oh yeah, Canada said no. The last Commonwealth Games was held in the UK. I don't know why they just don't just hold it in the UK.
That's what I'm saying.
Why do you want anyone else to host it, to be honest?
Listen, Will and Kate can't travel beyond a 2-mile radius, apparently. So just do it in the playground that they opened up. I mean, you know, they could get a kickback from it since they're charging people admission to the playground. I believe that that'll hold all, you know, 100 or so people who are interested in the Commonwealth Games. So just do it in their playground and make everybody pay. That way, when Will is trying to end homelessness, he'll have an additional £1,000 or so to play around with. And I mean, like, we all know that he only needed £5,000 to end homelessness to start with. So there you go, win-win for everybody.
Yeah, indeed. And it's, you know, it's interesting to see the differences in the way that the UK press has reported on this and the US press has reported on this. The US press actually focusing on the veterans, which I guess isn't really surprising because I think there's a you know, the military and the culture there is a lot different. I think in comparison to the UK.
Absolutely. So I and it was not always that way, but from what I understand, after Vietnam and how poorly I think, you know, returning people were treated after that, there was a pretty significant cultural shift in the way that veterans were regarded. And especially, I think, like, since the more recent in memory ones like Iraq and Afghanistan, it is, yeah, I mean, people will give a lot of credit for difficulties, for struggles to people who are veterans, as they should. But I think that's why they're never going to have the same level of success at attacking Harry in the US as they do in the UK in that role. Because Harry legit has the support of the veterans behind him, and in the US that really means something. For them to back him, and I think we're going to see more of that, and for Meghan to be shown as being actively involved in this, when they start coming for them, there is going to be pushback, and the military here does tend to lean right wing. I I don't quite understand it. I never have, but it just is what it is, and it does tend to lean right wing. So I don't think that they're going to have the same level, I think, of just idiots who are willing to, he married a biracial woman, so he's the same as his, his nonce uncle. Um, they're not going to be able to get them in that same way. So I think
Yeah,
that
it's very. I think it's very difficult. It would be in the US to attack Harry for supporting the veterans. And I think you're right. Especially from the right side of the aisle. I think in response to your question, though, I think the reason maybe the military might sway a little bit more to the right is because I think on the left there's more criticism towards the or what is seen as a military complex. I don't necessarily think it's directed at the veterans, though.
it is not in that, and that's
Yeah.
why I've never understood, because I think when you listen to, and even like even Democrats are more of a center, they would be considered more center right in any other place of the world than truly left. But even when they do, they're typically attacking things like no bid contracts, which means that if you have an in, then you can charge, $50,000 a toilet to install toilets on a military base with no competition. So they're attacking things like that that really don't have any impact on veterans. Like, I don't think that there is anybody who would say, let's cut their combat gear, or let's cut spending on things that are really important to them. And those are, those are the things that they try to attack. But of course, like, if you just sum it up, like, then the right wing will say, oh, they're trying to cut military spending, they don't like veterans, and it's not even the same thing. But yeah, so I don't think that with that support, they're going to have, they're not going to have the same audience to pull from in the US that they do from the UK. And can I just give a shout out really quick to James O'Brien, because what I did see was him calling out the utter foolishness. These people are fools for having nerve to compare sticking up for your wife with somebody who paid 12 million pounds to a woman 12 million pounds of his mama's money to a person he allegedly never met and allegedly never had any interaction with. That is, that is the one thing that constantly blows my mind when I see them doing these dumb polls. And those polls are taken inside of Buckingham Palace, where they ask and staff members, who's your favorite royal? But when I see those things and they're, oh well, Meghan is the second least popular, and then Andrew. I'm like, are you kidding me? This woman who had the gumption to pay for her own wedding dress and and pay for her own house is just, somehow on par with Randy Andy, who nobody can stand. Like, who has never been accused of being a nice guy or anything other, just like, spoiled and entitled. And oh, well, at least he's 1 point behind Meghan. I'm like, you all are insane. You have lost your ever loving minds.
Something else that I actually didn't mention, in that, not in the James O'Brien clip, but in the other one when those two black women were speaking, one of the things that the fool with the pink lipstick said was, oh, but Meghan wasn't at Serena's baby shower, and she hasn't been seen with Mariah Carey, and it's just like, what, are you keeping tabs on who Meghan isn't friends with and who she isn't seen with? And what does it matter? You don't really know what's going on with Harry and Meghan in their day-to-day lives. You didn't even know that Harry went on a whole scuba trip. Now you think, from going to Montecito to the airport, to getting on the flight, to getting on the boat, to getting the scuba gear, to being in the water with the manta rays, and then going all the way back home and not a single leak, you don't know anything.
You don't listen. I think the keen-eyed squatties even noticed that for that event in New York, Meghan showed up with tan lines. Where did she get those from? None of us know, and as it should be. You know, she had some subtle tan lines there. Maybe she was on vacation in Mexico. Maybe she went. Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
yeah.
Nobody knows. Like all we know is she showed up, she looked gorgeous, and then they acted a darn fool afterwards. And somebody needs to grab a folding chair and smack them back. But
A white folding, not just any folding chair.
oh
A
no,
white
yeah,
folding chair.
exactly. The freedom folding chair. That's that was from somebody's uncle who was probably playing a game of spades and was like, nope, no more, no more. I don't tolerate it. So yeah, there's a ton of things that we don't know, and they turn it into this weird proof for them of who knows what. But I sorely, it's so nice to hear a British voice and James O'Brien calling it out and calling out how utterly ridiculous it is that they see things like, oh well, she got photographed wearing a patch, so obviously she's seeking attention. They put that in the exact same league as, or they killed the queen. I'm like, oh, it couldn't have been that 12 million pound payout that she had to make on behalf of one of her degenerate children who allegedly did not know this person who was accusing him of allegedly doing some nasty things to her when she was a child. Yeah, but it was Harry and Meghan saying we're out. It was that, not the 12 million pounds, not Andrew, who obviously in some regards probably was her favorite, potentially really letting her down by showing what a degenerate he was. Yeah, just to continue putting them in the same sphere is it's ridiculous, and it deserves to be called out far more than it is. It's really nuts. But you know what? I have hopes because I got an early leak that the next poll to Buckingham Palace of their favorite royals is going to include Louis the 14th. I think it's going to include some Russian leaders. We might get Putin back in there or something. So I'm sure Meghan's poll numbers are going to go up, as will Andrew's. Look for that.
Sounds about right.
Next poll. Yeah, exactly. Next
you
poll.
heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Between
Thank you so much,
Putin
my Android.
and all these people. Exactly. Have a good one. Bye.
You too, hun. Joe Vlogs. Hey. Joe, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Anne?
Yes, I can hear you. How are
Hi,
you?
Anne. Hi, squaddies. Glad you've arrived safely and hope you're settling in well, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And where do I start? Oh, Lord. My grandmother used to say several things she used to say. And some of the things that she would say are things like, penny wise and pound foolish. Show me your company and I'll tell you who you are. But one of the things that really stuck with me, and I can really see it playing out here, is pride before a fall. What happened with Harry over all these years is that they counted on him being what they told him he was. They told him he was despair, he was good for nothing, he would never amount to anything. Consequently, they would never accept that he wanted to go into the army to get away from them. So they thought, well, he'll go, he'll get over it, he'll come back. He came back. Fast forward.
Well, he came back because they leaked.
Exactly. Fast forward to him meeting Meghan. And they saw Meghan as this shiny new coin that we could put in our pillbox and make the box nice and shiny. We just need to polish that new coin the way we want it to shine. They really didn't comprehend that that penny was shining on its own before it arrived. And they never countenanced on Harry saying, actually, I really like this shiny penny. I've lived with you all my life. I know what you're like. I know what you're about. I'm going to go where the shiny penny goes. Now it's happening. And what that is showing, and I think we've said this before, is Harry's decision to walk away has just literally pulled back the window dressing, because all we've seen is window dressing, and people have gotten used to holding the Queen in reverence because she took over the role as a young woman. She didn't really have much of a life of her own before that, but now that she's gone, the protection has gone. So Harry walking away, it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. That wasn't part of the plan. You were supposed to play the court jester for the rest of your days. They couldn't risk it with Andrew because I remember back in late 70s, early 80s, he was given the name Randy Andy. Now I was young then. I'm 54 now, so I was really young then, and I could see the reason why he would have been given that name. Roll forward to now, it's even more obvious why he was given that name. And they've gotten so used to hiding behind little dull boy Harry. Now that he's gone, not only has he gone, he's opened the window dressing, and then now, excuse the pun, their asses are exposed. They've got nobody to hide behind. The problem there now for the remaining is that Andrew has so much on them that there is no choice but to settle that civil lawsuit payout and to gradually bring him back into the fold. Because if they think Harry walking has been detrimental to them, they are not ready for what Andrew could unleash. And unlike Harry, Andrew has never come with humility and grace. He has always been arrogant. He's always been entitled. He's always been self-centered. It has always been about him. And I mean, and I sat there with my husband and we watched the car crash interview with Emily Maitlis. And we both looked at each other and said, gosh, the next thing he's going to say is, I didn't sweat. And within less than 10 minutes, that's exactly what this guy said. And I thought, where are your advisors?
Yeah.
Where are advisors? So what they were hoping
And then,
now.
sorry, just to interject, for those of you who may not know, the interviewer and everybody in that room was so just taken aback by the way he incriminated himself. They actually gave him a chance to do the interview again, and he said no.
He said no, because I watched a follow-up interview with Emily where she talked about that interview. And she just said, I just could not believe what I was hearing. We'd given him so many inroads to say something else, show some compassion for the victims, show some care, but it was all about him. And he thought, well, I'll tell them what I want to say and I'll be fine because it's always worked for me. Being the favorite of the mother, he's always had that covering. Now that she's gone, there is no covering. And Harry and Meghan need not say anything. All they need to do is just keep succeeding because they're proving several things. They're proving that there is life outside that bubble. You are just watching a film show, a comedy show rather, from behind these curtains. The curtains have come down. We can sustain ourselves. We can all be financially independent. And in a way, I think one of the best things, because I'm quite an optimistic person, and I just see challenges as situations to grow and learn and do better. And in a way, I was a bit like, they've thrown him out. Well, do you know what? There was a reason behind this. And Harry has seized the reason. And he is working with that. And look at everything they have thrown at this couple. Kitchen sink, the whole lot. They continue to rise and shine. And I think the penny is dropping. Because I don't believe it was by accident that Spare was leaked beforehand. I do not believe that at all. And the thing is, when are the sheep going to learn that you're being told, you're being spoon-fed a narrative that they want you to have? So it was all this blow up about Harry said he unlived 23, blah, blah, blah. Well, we knew this since it happened. It was in the papers. This was nothing new. And, when I've commented on things, I've had to say to people, I don't know how old you are. I don't know where you've been for X amount of years, but I can tell you, I have seen this before. We know the playbook. And, the question I'm asking now is, what else does Andrew have on them? Because in all of this, nobody questions Charles's relationship with the equivalent that we had here that passed away, that was knighted. Nobody questions that.
Savile.
I'm thinking,
Talking about Savile.
Yes. Are you real?
Yeah.
Do you not know the history of Lord Mountbatten? Do you not know?
Yeah.
Where it's so easy to find this information. So all this throwing of the kitchen sink at Harry and Meghan, and it's like, they have, my grandmother used to say, when you have the armor of Christ, the devil's work is rubber. It literally just bounces off you because it doesn't matter what they do, nothing will stick. They counted on Harry being here. They tolerated Meghan coming into the fold. And then they thought, well, they're going to have children, so it's okay, it'll pan out because they will stay. We'll remove their security, we'll cut their funding, they will come back with their begging bowls, they'll stay, and we'll have their children as collateral damage. Didn't countenance on Harry watching the gameplay all his life and knowing what he would have to do. Harry has always said he was glad he wasn't getting the top job. He never wanted it. He was just waiting for the opportunity to go. What has really surprised them, and they always say, the Saviour comes not clothed with an armour and a sword, but in humble clothing. And that's where Meghan came in. They didn't anticipate it being her. They didn't anticipate. And I think at first Charles really liked her because he could see how strong she was. She was a hard worker. And I've read that he even gave her the name of Tungsten, meaning very strong. Of course, they then realized actually we underestimated her because we thought she would be strong.
That they could break her.
To use. Exactly. And I keep saying, if we want to talk about people that have ruined the family, what they haven't done themselves, let's talk about Edward's wife, Sophie, when she arrived and she was caught bad-mouthing them. And then I remember the situation with Sarah and the toe-sucking situation. But then I had to think for myself, well, Andrew was in the Falklands. He was away most of the time. God knows what he was getting up to. Can she be blamed? Not that I'm condoning anything, not that I'm condoning the behaviour in front of the children, but can she be blamed for wanting a life?
Toe sucking is pretty low down the offensive scale when you look at the breadth of the things that the royals have done. I think.
And I just thought, at no point did anyone ever, even now, nobody has questioned. But actually, when she left, that was a really big scandal. It was, Frumpy Fergie and Duchess of Pork and all this. But there were reasons for people doing certain things. And even knowing what we know now, people are still not willing to say that actually, Andrew, you must have had some part in her going astray. You must have played some part. When we look at what you're involved in, you must take some responsibility. And that's the problem. There is a big issue with taking responsibility. So to negate that, what they do is they blame everybody else. They project at everybody else. Harry's of this and Meghan's of that. And I just, I so desperately want to call into one of these stations one day and just ask a simple question. If they are so irrelevant and you wanted them gone, why do you keep talking about them? Because I'm guessing, because you keep accusing them of, they're using their lives to make money, and he's playing on his legacy to get money. I'm guessing you're not being paid for your articles, you're not being paid for your interviews, you're all doing this for free and out of the goodness of your heart.
And that would be the answer, right? Because it's all about the money. But thank you so much, Joe. You've got so many fans in the chat. They're really loving your points.
Good to talk to you, and you just stay safe out there. I haven't watched Heart yet. I finished watching the last of Suits again last night. So tonight I'm going to start with the Heart of Invictus. But just keep up the good work.
Thank you so
it's all
much,
coming
Joe.
ahead. I think they're pulling the rugs from under their own feet, and they're imploding on themselves. And it's like panic. What do we do?
No, thank you, Joe. All right, we're going to end with Lightside. Thank you, everyone who came up. Great to hear your voices and your points as always. Right, Lightside, how you doing?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Anne. I hope everyone's doing well. Uh, during a quick call-in, I am in the middle of work. It's crazy early right now, but same thing with Rohini. I got the alert, and I'm like, let me just put up on my TV, and because I was watching Heart of Invictus, and then I'm like, let me switch over. But I wasn't expecting you to be on at this time, so I was lucky and just grateful to catch it because I would say all of the callers this morning have been amazing, just absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. Thank you to everyone. I had missed Karen. I hadn't heard from her in a bit, and I remember I was asking,
Yeah,
have you seen Karen?
Karen, if you're listening, Lightside was actually asking about you. She was like, "Where's Karen?"
I know you guys. I know all of us. Yeah. But I was just kind of in the chat and like listening, and I'm so happy to hear Joe's voice too. I think it's been a bit, maybe it's just the timing because I've been busy as well. But just Joe always has some incredible things to say. YM. I mean, I can't speak enough about Rohini. You guys already know. And anyone else I might have forgotten. Just really appreciate the breadth and platform that everyone has covered because there's some overlap, but everyone has something a little bit unique to say about everything that's been happening, either between social media, with Heart of Invictus, with how the media is still trying to drag Meghan into a lot of just nonsensical talks and stuff, things that we see them post all the time. But I just started watching Heart of Invictus yesterday. I haven't had a lot of time, so I think I might be on episode 3 or 4 right now, and really trying not to get any spoilers from any of the podcasts until I've gotten through them. But I have I thought I saw 1 or 2 people in the chat say this, but I actually caught myself tearing up, and I'm not like overly emotional except for certain times, but like it just really I think it was a moment of feeling so incredibly proud of good, hard, quality work. I would say that if I were to think about the documentaries or the material that the Sussexes have put out over the last year or so, we can all agree that it's just been high quality stuff, very high quality. I pay attention to stuff like cinematography, like the musical score or the background instrumentals that they use to get you to feel certain things in certain scenes, for you to connect with the individuals that are speaking about their experiences. And I am just it, guys. This took work. This
Yeah,
took
from
a lot of
start
work.
to finish, just flawless.
Flawless. And I don't know why, but I'm like, man, this is like high grade documentary stuff. Like, could there potentially be an award down the road for this? Because I'm
Yeah.
just floored. They're not professional. I don't want to say they're not professionals, but you're not talking about someone that's been in the business for 20 years, like the OGs, the directors and producers and stuff that know what they're doing, that have had opportunities to make mistakes. They're new, and I want everyone to just like process like how incredibly hard it is to put something out at this level from just not having that much experience. Just my, all appreciation and accolades go to them for doing that. So I just want to say that really quickly, and I'm going to enjoy watching the rest of the docu-series. And seeing Heart of Invictus, and I actually might watch it again because I feel like there are things that I might have overlooked, so far in processing. But really quickly, I don't know, Anne, because I know sometimes we don't all see the posts on social media, but I don't know if you saw the really short snippet that one of her squaddies posted when, I don't remember her name. It was a Black woman, a British woman with short hair. And I've seen her on Pierce Morgan's show commenting on Harry and Meghan before. I seen her. We all saw her take down Camilla Tominey like a while back when she talked about the Black women experience. And there's a counter to that. There was another African American or Black, I don't want to say African American, another Black woman from the UK who was speaking about Heart of Invictus, right? And the question in that little clip was, what do you think about Heart of Invictus? Do you think there's an opportunity maybe for them to kind of I don't know, want to say save themselves or to redeem themselves or something. And she's like, yeah, I think there's an opportunity. We haven't seen Meghan as much, or we haven't seen Meghan yet. So I think maybe a little bit, maybe not. And so when they went to the other woman, she very eloquently spoke up and said, I think that Harry and Meghan have not missed. They've been successful with everything they've done. They're popular. People love what they do, and it resonates
Yeah.
with people. And she tried to knock her down and say, well, Spotify canceled archetypes, like how successful could it possibly be if she got let go? And the very important point that she brought up that I think some of us really got at the time that this happened, because I remember we were concerned about what's going to happen this season 2. Are we going to see more of archetypes because we loved it so much? She said maybe it was too big for Spotify to handle. And I want people to process that, right? When you're a platform and your work is too much for a little old entity to contain it, it's going to stifle it. It's not going to allow it to grow the way that it could.
Yeah, and actually, to that point, Spotify are actually struggling right now.
Exactly. They have. And they try to put it on Meghan. I don't know why, because she only had her one show. There's so many other things that Spotify produces. But yeah, Spotify is struggling. There are a lot of financial things and business decisions that are going on behind the scenes that us regular folks are not privy to, so yeah, this move is not an end for them. We see that if that was the case, we wouldn't be seeing productions coming out still that are associated with Archwell, so I'm just really proud of them. I thought about when I was watching part of Invictus, I was like, wow, if Princess Diana was here, she would be so incredibly proud of Prince Harry for doing this, because I don't know about anyone else, but whenever I see what they do, I see so much heart in it. I see them connecting to humanity, and I see Princess Diana. I cannot help but to think of Princess Diana. It's like her resonating through them. And I think I dropped something in a chat earlier, and I said I thought about this, and the way that some of the derangers and trolls and haters of Harry and Meghan post about just being naysayers. And I think someone said like knocking down Invictus and IMDb with the ratings, by devaluing it. But I think about all the attacks that they're getting, and I cannot help but to think, if the media, in fact, are working for Chucky and are working for consort Camilla, this is right up their alley, because what they're seeing right now is Diana living through Harry and Meghan. What they're doing reminds them every single day of this amazing woman that didn't get to complete her course in life, however which way you want to see it, because she's still alive. She's living through everything that they do. You can't help but to not see that. And I think it goes against, their platform.
And I think they're just terrified at the idea that, I mean, it's their worst nightmare. I think one of the royal rotorats actually said this. The fear was that not only could we have a Diana 2.0, but the Diana 2.0 could be a lot bigger in terms of the crowd and fan base and popularity than Diana, the actor Diana herself. And that's effectively what's happened.
Exactly. That's exactly everything that you just said is exactly what's happening. And I think some of the nuance of that, and is that this 2.0 doesn't look like what Princess Diana looked like. It's not your typical, and I'm not saying this to race bait or anything, but it doesn't fit the image of blonde, blue eye, fair skin, right? Like Meghan is very light complected, but she is a person of color. And so when you have this thing step insert itself into a successful platform and is receiving accolades that people cannot understand, and is receiving support, from all age groups, and love and adoration, and this power that they can't explain, it scares them. It's fear. That's not what it's supposed to look like. Princess Diana was this person. This is 2.0, but we didn't want 2.0 to look like this. 2.0 is supposed to look like Kate, so
Oh, Rosa, he just said Diana came out with 2 heads. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I was thinking, man, I've always been 100% correct with the folks I've stand, and I'm so glad that I am behind Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan, because I'm proud of what they do. I can say that. I've obviously, aside from supporting them, I'm not doing any work directly with them, but I just feel whatever they're doing resonating through me, and is inspiring for what I could do. So I'm happy to see this.
Yeah. And so with all that said, okay, so we've got Invictus coming up next. Where do you think we go afterwards? What do we think might be coming next for Team Sussex? Especially now that Meghan signed with WME, do you think there'll be brand deals, or do you think they'll be mostly just focusing on production stuff? Or
I think that they're going to work on some productions, maybe for release sometime next year. WME's acquisition happened. We knew about it maybe a few months ago, but I imagine that the talks were happening long before that. So they would have to set up, have meetings and set up a stage for, okay, what do we want to do? How are we going to get this moving, and start planning through that? And it takes time, and it takes work. And I don't think they're going to put anything out that is not ready to go out, in the quality that we've seen over the past. So I imagine that if not sometime next year, we might see some production stuff from them. I pray that we see Archetypes season 2. I really want it to come back. So I have my fingers crossed for that one as well. I think that the niche that works best right now for Harry and Meghan is this. It's the Invictus type documentaries. It is the connection to people, because I think for us, when each of us watch it, we all have different experiences, right? We go through different things. Some of us, have a hard time talking about some of those experiences, but I think we all connect to the stuff that they've put out. We understand it. And I think that as long as you have that connection and you can do that to the audience, you will always succeed, and you'll always have a place carved out for you.
that
So
is very true. Yeah, and they might, and I guess they could actually do that in different ways, not just through the documentary style stuff. Obviously they've got the rights to this romance novel book, and people relate to love, and I think I think you're right. Like the niche will be things that connect to people, but it can be
go past
showcased through
that.
different ways.
Yes. And the only reason why I'm saying right now this is a niche is because I think they're so young, and I know they are going to have opportunities to grow, but that is going to take time, and I'm patient with that. I don't think they should just stick to this. I think as a starting point, this is an excellent place for them to begin, and they can always branch out and do other things. Meghan has written books, we can see potential. She has children. Would it be crazy to see animation or some kind of children's video type short story
Yeah, I
put
mean, we're
out?
still like the Pearl project is still up in the air. I mean, they took it from Netflix, but
Mhm.
it might go somewhere else.
Exactly. So I think the possibilities are endless for them, but I know they're going to need time to build on that and get the right people to support that. So I'm patient for them. I think that they move very carefully, and their steps have been very accurate thus far. So I'm not worried. I think we have good things to look forward to, and I think that their support is just going to continue to grow as people learn who they are. And I think we're joking about this, and some of us saw on social media, people were like, "Oh, I didn't even realize Rachel was Meghan," when they were watching Suits, you
Yeah.
know, like little things like that, you know. So people actually grow to like people just from the characters that they play on television. You know, that is a benefit for her, because normal people who wouldn't care about monarchy stuff or royal stuff are seeing her in a different light, you know, than what
Yeah.
they're hearing. So yeah.
I think that's a fantastic way to end things. Thank you as always,
Thank you.
Lightside. And thank you everyone who called in. Wow, I'm really glad that I took calls now, actually. And yeah, now I'm ready to go to bed. But thank you so much for your amazing points. And yeah, I think Lightside is right. I think we're going to go from strength to strength. And you know, there's always going to be noise from the UK tabloid side, but in the end, they just end up promoting everything that Harry and Meghan do, because they just can't help themselves. They still haven't learned. They still have not learned. If you really want Harry and Meghan to go away, just stop talking about them. But they can't let Harry and Meghan go away because Harry and Meghan are their moneymakers. And it's just like the more they try to attack them, the more successful they become. You cannot buy this level of PR. And if you were, it would cost you a retainer of tens of thousands every single month. But hey ho, the haters are always gonna hate. But that's what we're here for, the fans, to just support our faves and support each other. And thank goodness for this incredible community. Have a lovely day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. It is going past 11 where I am, so I am going to get to bed. Right. Enjoy Barons, and I will see you tomorrow, folks. Ciao. Oh, sorry. Before I go, I just wanted to say just one last thing. Thank you so much to Florence R, Grazia, and Black Queen for the coffees. And who was it the other day? Oh, Sylvia F sending me a coffee the other day also. All right. Now we're really gonna go. Have final Barons, everyone. Ciao.